Sir N. Subramaniam. We'll wait for him to join. Till such time, we'll move to the next panelist. Mr. Karthik Nagpal, President, Rosemata Auto Recycling Private Limited. Karthik Nagpal, a stalwart of holistic growth, has propelled the Rosemata Group to more than just road safety solutions. His leadership has taken the high security registration plate vertical to new heights, become India's largest and world's second largest organization in the domain. Welcome, Karthik. I would like to invite our next panelist, Mr. Jagdish Prasad, Vice President, MTC Business Private Limited. Jagdish Prasad, an MBA from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade with over 20 years of experience in recycling industry in India and abroad. He has been a part of various government initiatives and drafting committees of Government of India relating to policy formulation for recycling industry. Our next panelist is Mr. Nitin Chitkara, CEO, Meta Materials Circular Markets. Nitin is a pioneering force in the creation of e-markets around circular economy principle, spearheading the development of global first tech ecosystem for automotive circularity, ELV Circularity Passport and ELV credits with over 20 years of diverse experience spanning e-governance, G2B and B2B domains. To start the panel discussion, I would like to start with Mr. P.K. Banerjee. Sir, this ELV policy has been in force for the last 2 years. So what is SIAM's view on the progress of the policy, sir?
Very good morning and thank you very much for giving me this space to articulate auto industry view on the very important subject of national importance and of course the global priority. The prior session, Mr. Amit spoke about that our policy framework is none other than the best in the world. And I can't agree more with him because Sustainable Development Goals 2030, net zero target of 2070, and our aspiration to become developed nation by 2047 can only be realized if we align this very important policy framework towards achieving the goals which we intend to do in given time frame. I think Government of India's visionary leadership, the innovative implementation of policy framework, the formulated policy under the leadership of interministerial group led by finally MOEF and CPCB portal implementation are the shining example that how the collaboration, cooperation of different forces will work together. And auto industry takes pride because we have been shining sector to contribute to the national economy, the growth of India. And when it comes to migrating from non-BS regime of emission to now the world best BS6 emission norms and the vehicles becoming at par in safety norms also with the world, the older vehicle needs to get off the road. And this fleet modernization program, which was the part of Mashelkar Committee's first auto fuel policy report, indicated that fleet modernization must be done. But in a democratic India, where we could not mandate retirement of vehicles, number of committees have been formed, but we failed to do so because of the democratic way we function. Even in Bombay High Court order last month, we have been told to get rid of the old vehicles, particularly the diesel and petrol. So committee has been formed and we are hopeful that we will be able to get rid of this. So the question which you are raising, that how this EPR framework or the recycling priorities Government India has formed, I think we are completely aligned, we support and we take pride that such a beautiful regulations, standards have been created for the 6 regimes, including e-waste, battery, plastic, tire, engine oil and of course the ELV. So we are completely aligned and we are very happy that such a great moment is happening, and MRAI and SIAM is working very closely together with all stakeholders, and we take this initiative forward in right earnest.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll move to Vijay, sir. Sir, Rajasthan as a state has one of the highest road tax incentives across the country to support the policy. How has been the response of the development of this policy within the state, sir? Can you throw some light on that?
First of all, good morning to all of you, and thank you for choosing Jaipur as a destination for your workshop. Thanks to MRAI and Niti Aayog for bringing me here. We are doing a lot of good things in circular economy. As you all aware that the first integrated resource recovery park, that is first of its kind in India and probably in Asia also, came up in Tolai, that is close to Jaipur only. So a lot of significant steps we have already taken in this circular economy. And coming to the vehicle policy, as you mentioned about that, the biggest challenge, as he also mentioned, that mandating the people to retiring the vehicle, that is always a big challenge. And discarding or disposing or declaring it as unusable, that is the biggest challenge for, I think, in Indian community. Especially we are dealing majority with the middle class people. I mentioned about just one my example. I tried to sold my vehicle some 4 or 5 years back. It was some 13 years old Ford Flare, and the mileage covered was only 42,000. And since I moved from Tamil Nadu to Rajasthan, I tried to sell it. The rate I obtained was, the quoted was only 18,000. I think it is much lesser than the two-wheeler vehicle price. So it was a big challenge. Then I could not able to afford that. So I opted out that. So even though this there is a good incentives given by the government, but still we have to go for a very long time to cover these, because this mandate is only in Delhi and nearby region, where 15 years old and 10 years old is a mandatory compulsion to opt the vehicle, but the vehicle always come out in other districts which can always apply. And the scrapping facilities, RSVP, that is also a big challenge. We have right now only 3 centers that is close to Jaipur only, and automatic testing center also very limited number. So these are the big challenges, but it is slowly getting momentum. I think in the coming years it will surely get a momentum, and the kind of interest the government is giving towards the other kind of waste, so we are also started giving to this end of life vehicle also. I think coming years we will surely get some good momentum in this. Yeah.
So, sir, as you know, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has recently introduced EPR regulations for automotive OEMs also, and that should act as a big boost to, promote the RVSF framework. So how your department is, taking the steps to implement it strongly in Rajasthan? If you can throw some light on that.
So we are actually in coordination with the transport department. We have taken recent steps only, and it is in the, we have to admit it is in the initial stage only. So we need to go do a lot of good work in the coming time. Yeah.
Great, sir. My next question is to Karthik. Karthik, what I understand, your company has committed a huge investment of around 200 crores to set up about 10 RVSFs across country. What has encouraged you to commit such a huge investment in this area?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks to MRAI for inviting me to this platform. And to answer your question, Saurabh, at Rosmata, we are always, committed to bringing positive change to society, and that's what we do with our business as well. And very early on, we recognized the need for circularity and sustainability in the automotive ecosystem. And that's when we, understood the global markets, and we realized that the automotive recycling business is a very mature business across the globe except in India. And we are very confident that in the years to come, India will be a very large market for end-of-life vehicle recycling. And you can see that with the support that the government is giving us, with Niti Aayog, with Ministry of Environment and Forest, with MORTH, with CPCB, all being very receptive to the challenges of the society. And that is why we thought that we should enter this business. And the localized nature of this business in terms of procuring the end-of-life vehicles, you need multiple facilities, and that is why we decided to commit the investment accordingly.
So that's great, Karthik. Mr. Jagdish, I think your company has also been in this business for, I think, almost 2 years now. Can you throw light on some operational challenges which your company has faced in setting up and operationalizing this business, and how they can be mitigated also?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, MRAI, for having me here. Actually, from a RVSF standpoint, the challenges are at 3 different stages. Stage 1, when we set up a new unit to manage the plant and the hazardous waste management. And with timely intervention and government support from time to time, we have been able to overcome many of them. There are still some teething issues which I'm sure we'll be able to resolve it with joint cooperation. So earlier, for setting up an RVSF in India, used to take around 7 to 8 months, if I tell you in different states of India. Now it has been trimmed down to 3 to 4 months, if all the documents are in order. Secondly, operationally, right from onboarding the vehicles, KYC, etc., the system was not integrated. But at RTO level, now system is functioning much better than what it used to happen a few months ago. And hazardous waste management used to be a challenging aspect for all the RVSF across India. But there's a clear-cut policy right now, and all the vendors can be onboarded, and the stakeholders can take part in this, so that all these operational issues are taken care of. Other way, I mean, sourcing of an ELV has become a major challenge for everyone. So, and migration of informal sector to formal sector, that is also taking place. I mean, the government is helping on that front as well. So, we are looking forward to a better ecosystem in near future. Thank you.
So, Karthik, I think as rightly pointed by Jagdish ji, that there is already an informal sector working in this area. And what we've been also discussing and understanding that there is a price gap which exists between the formal sector and informal sector because of obvious reasons. There's also been a discussion around, improving the selling of parts from RVSFs, which can help bridge this kind of parts gap. Is your company working in this direction? And if you can throw some light on that particular topic.
Well, it's no secret that globally as well, the spare parts sales contribute majorly to the bottom line of any registered vehicle scrapping facility. Unfortunately, in India, the infrastructure is not there yet, and we have not been able to sell as many spare parts as we would like to. To improve this, I think there's a lot of work to be done. Firstly, I think there needs to be a set standard for reusable spare parts, basis which we need refurbishers to follow those standards, and then we need a distribution channel, online and offline, for those standards to have wider acceptability of reusable spare parts. Secondly, the GST norms need to be aligned, because they cannot be at the same GST level of the new spare part. The reusable parts need to be promoted, and the GST rates need to be aligned accordingly. So there's a lot of work to be done in terms of selling spare parts, and I feel the infrastructure around the RVSFs will grow as volumes grow, and I'm confident that is going to happen very soon.
Great. Nitin ji, I think your company has been at forefront of, enabling the entire ecosystem around ELVs with use of technology, especially by introduction of DG ELV, which is a core product for trading of, certificates, COD, certificate deposits. So, how your company is facilitating these technological improvements to improve the overall implementation of ELV policy in the country?
Yeah, thanks MRAI and thanks Saurabh. As Karthik just mentioned, and we everyone know that currently India is in a very nascent stage when we talk about ELV recycling. And what we observe, the major challenge for RVSF is actually the feed as of now. So And the reason behind feed is not there because of economical condition of India. We are actually not so rich country as of now, and then most of the population is still just evolving. So nobody actually is willing to give away their vehicles for lower price, what RVSF are anticipating. RVSF generally expects that a vehicle should be given in the metal price or the item which we can recover their price. But for a consumer, they expect that the vehicle should fetch a better value. And government actually have given a really good incentive in the form of certificate of deposit. So first, DGLV is a trade platform, digital asset trade platform, which enables users to trade their certificates if they don't want to utilize or buy a new vehicle. So in last 3 months, approximately 10,000 users actually have taken benefit in the range of 8,000 to 10,000 rupees per certificates, which actually given them a better value. So that is one thing what we have been actually supporting by the way of actually incentivizing the mass or the public through our digital asset trade platform. Another thing is which we are working is around traceability of the material which is being recovered from the RVSF, and which is very important because we understand that data is the fuel. And if you see the fundamental difference between informal sector player or RVSF is actually RVSF are well aligned with the global terms, global norms, and these traceability is the key. Traceability is the important requirement that what material is recovered, where it is going, what kind of emission savings can be taken out from these materials. So as MMCM, we are working in a end-to-end open loop ecosystem where anyone can come in and plug in and utilize this ecosystem for the nation.
So I think coming back to you, Karthik, if you have to, probably say top 3-4 challenges which still needs to be addressed by the government to improve, to reduce this price gap and improve the overall development of this industry, what will you actually pick up?
I think the number one thing would be a little more stringent action on the informal sector. That is one of the biggest reasons the price gap exists. The informal sector is not following the environment-friendly way of recycling. They are not following the AS 129 standards of what spare parts to sell. They are not paying the statutory dues like GST, etc. And that brings them a very big unfair advantage when they can offer a price that is way higher than the organized players. I understand the government wants to, collaborate and integrate the informal sector, but currently the informal sector is extremely disincentivizing to the formal sector. That is one of the biggest things that will help us bring down the price gap. Secondly, they've already introduced the EPR framework. We would like, that will really help to decrease the value gap funding that is there in the industry right now. So hopefully that was going to really help around.
Thanks, Karthik. Coming back to you, Mr. Banerjee, you've already heard that, policy has created a good environment for RVs to survive, while still there exists a lot of challenge with the unorganized sector. How auto OEMs or SIAM is planning to work collaboratively with RVSs in the sector? Even we are aware that a lot of OEMs are also planning to get into RVSF. Can you just throw some light onto this entire?
Yeah, because fleet modernization is in the interest of everyone. Economy of scale will go up with new vehicles coming in the market. The fuel efficiency will improve. Environmental benefit will be accrued at the city where the old vehicles will get replaced. The road safety aspect will also be taken care. So therefore, as an OEM, we would like more and more older vehicles to get off the road and the new vehicles, which are better vehicles, replace them. And therefore, if you look at Maruti, Mahindra, Tata, they have already established RVSF in different cities, and more OEMs are willing to set up RVSF. Of course, as Karthik mentioned, the organized sector RVSFs are currently running under huge losses because feed is not coming. And government is aware about it. We are working with government together. So therefore, OEMs have already offered the discount to the tune of 2.5% for heavy commercial vehicle, and if the vehicle is less than 3.5 ton, then in the discount is of the order of 1.5 to 1.75%. Cars also, they have agreed to offer discount. So OEMs have also tried to offer additional discount from their side. And to encourage further, you know that 25% road tax exemption is there. Government is mulling to increase that road tax exemption to 50% in the next policy intervention. So we are aware that we need to encourage people more and more and try to bring in a situation where older vehicle gets replaced. If it is not happening through executive route, there are also the PIL route which is pushing various states to take action. So recent point in case is the Bombay High Court. So within 15 days we have to revert. Committee has been formed and SIAM is part of the committee. So we will just see how interventions can be done. We are thinking that like NGT order, 10-year and 15-year-old in Delhi is working, some sensible thing through automated testing centers where the person bring the vehicle, and if the vehicle is not worthy of running on road to the prescribed safety and emission norms, then they necessarily need to go to recycling units for end-of-life vehicle management. So SIAM members are very closely working together, not only on their own, but also joining hands with the MRAI members and RVSF units so that we can create better organized environment so that automatically, slowly, the unorganized sector will either align and join hands with us to become mainstreamed organized activities. Otherwise, there will be some kind of gradual phasing out of their activities which are not organized. So this is where we are trying to push, and we are hopeful that with different EPR targets coming in, things will get some kind of push in coming days. Thank you.
So before we move to Q&A to audience, I would like to take your views, Jagdish ji. As shared by Mr. Banerjee, that there will be this new policy of EPR in automotive OEMs will create a huge liability for automotive OEMs. Our earlier speakers have also shared that it is for us to meet as responsible recyclers both quality and quantity targets, which will obviously need a lot of scaling up in the RVSFs. So, and you've been already running these RVSFs for a while. What is your experience and advice to RVSFs to scale up the operations to meet the coming demands of the sector?
See, Hello. So, if you look at the installed capacity and the incoming feed as of now, we might not need for at least next 2 to 3 years. But by the time the policy is implemented across all states of India and more awareness is created, we might need to scale up. And number-wise, let's say 300,000 vehicles are produced every month. So even if there are 1,000 RVSF 10 years down the line, each RVSF will have at least 300 cars to process. I'm not talking about two-wheelers and commercial vehicle, only cars. So they have substantial volume. And to meet that growing demand, they need to invest on technology, infrastructure, new setups. Otherwise, with the conventional mode of dismantling, they will not be able to cater that much of volume. So definitely all the RVSF should plan going forward. Maybe they should start planning right now that definitely they'll have a substantial amount of volume to cater after 3 to 4 years.
Thanks. So now I would like to invite Shri Amit Verma ji to be on the stage to help us conclude the session and also help us do the Q&A session with the audience. Can we play the introduction video for Amit Verma ji?
Thank you so much for moderating this session, and to all the fellow panelists here at the stage. Thank you so much for agreeing to come to this important workshop and sharing your thoughts. The only reason why I wanted to be back on stage is about the thing which I had said in the introductory session about the importance of states and the problems which they are facing and their own participation today here in this important workshop. So before we begin the question and answer session directed towards the panelists and what they have shared with you, my request to the state was that despite all the policy initiatives which we take at the Government of India level, the role at the ground level execution, I think the importance of state is I mean, it cannot be oversaid. Whether it is the establishment of automatic testing stations or the RVSFs or the role of SPCB in making sure that the environmental norms are formed, or the transport commissioners who would make sure that all the RVSFs are disposing of the vehicles in the zest in which it has been defined in the various rules. I think the role of the state governments is very, very important. So I would like to open the floor with that comment to the participants here, and I would especially encourage the state participants to kindly share with us the challenges which you are facing, any improvements which you think are required in the policy framework right now, which are becoming a problem or a bottleneck for you. So with that, I think we can request the audience to kindly share their questions if they have any.
Can we have some mics if any of the audience has any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Prabjot, I think, is having a
Prabjot
question.
is one. Yeah. So, sir, we'll come back to you. There's one question behind. We'll come back to you, sir.
Yeah, hi. My name is Sriram Iyengar. See, while there are very good discounts that has been provided by every other states, almost only 8 to 10 states are giving complete 25% discounts. All the other states that are given discounts comes with lot of cap. Let's say if they are giving discounts of 15%, it also says that the discount is up to 50% of the scrapping value, whichever is lower. So, which means if the vehicles that get scrapped, it's of 40,000 rupees, and 50% of that is maximum discount that would be available is 20,000. So, these caps are actually playing a spoilsport in many states, which we request the government to intervene. So.
Can you also tell this question was directed to whom?
Let me take this question. I think it's a very important observation you have. We had a specific interaction with the Honorable Minister Shri Gadkari ji, with the Secretary of Road Transport and other officials present, and this issue was highlighted. The nature of this problem is twofold. One is all the states of the country have not adopted RVSF policy. So that was first. So almost 8 or 9 states have not yet adopted. And those who have adopted have this kind of problem what you have highlighted. So when we brought this to the notice of the minister as well as the secretary, then obviously the answer was that we have a concurrent constitutional framework where transport resides in concurrent list. It's not in the state or it's not in the center. So therefore we have been advised that wherever we have the influence along with MRAI, so for example we have been told that if we have to convince Tamil Nadu state government, then through our major OEMs like Ashok Leyland, Renault and others, we should convince the state authorities that they should be more compliant to the national policy framework. So that's how we have been told that cajole, coax and try to convince the state government, because there are some state government, they have a fear of loss of revenue or, which is not justified, but still there are hesitations. So I think together with MRAI and stakeholders, because I know MRAI members have more influence than the OEMs to the state government. So maybe together we can influence and align and convince them so that the policy framework become more favorable to the fleet modernization.
Thank you. And to add to that, I would also like to share with you that the policy lever which Government of India has used for this uniformity and probably loss of arbitrage which we can create, I mean, we can say in that terms, is the capital subsidy scheme. It was envisaged in 2022-23 first. The outlay was about 2,000 crores. The next year it was 3,000 crores, and this year I think it is further increased. For a couple of years in the initial phase, the idea was this, to give incentives to the states for the perceived loss of revenue and the money to buy new vehicles, especially for the government sector. Which all the levers for paying that money was to have a uniform mechanism for giving discounts. You'd also be happy to know that since the response of public, the privately owned vehicles has not been what we had envisaged, recently a new concept has also been brought where the discount would now be linked to the age of the vehicle. So if you scrap a Bharat stage 1 or stage 2 vehicle, the amount of discount instead of 25% would probably be 50% if I remember it correctly. But we have linked it to the older the vehicle, the more discount you would get to induce people to bring their vehicles into the RVSS for formal recycling. So these are different policy levers which have been used to make a uniform pitch across the states, as well as inducing people to scrap the older vehicles first. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Prabjot, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful to hear from you. The question goes to both the regulators and the policymakers, both sitting on the dais.
Yeah, that's everyone here.
That's why I took the advantage. And, you know, very aptly said that informal sector plays a very, very important role in the system. Congratulations to both the policymakers and the regulators for bringing in n number of guidelines and being implemented and also implementable. The question is that how do we see, and we cannot get rid of informal sector, it's across all the 11 sectors which Niti did. What is it that we are making efforts to bring inclusivity of this informal sector within the spectrum of sectors where they are playing a big role?
Vijay sir, would you like to take it?
We can't get rid of them.
Very difficult question actually. And informal sector, like any other waste, if you call about the e-waste or any waste, it's always a big challenge. And every sector has its own challenge, and bringing them into formal sector, because they sometimes even it is felt that that sector is also functioning well. But we can't like leave it like that. And even for example, e-waste, the majority of these, even though a lot of recycling units are created in the state for over the last few years, and we have our own e-waste policy also, but still the challenges are there. Similar to any other waste, this is also another challenging sector. I think, and the scrapping facility is also very limited in our number, only 3 right now in our state. And our focus is mainly looking into that, how like our rules and regulations are enforced into that. I think we need to like work on this, how to like bring this informal sector into this formal sector. Really, it's a big challenge, and ready to take all your like suggestions to bring them into the formal sector.
Hello. Since Niti Aayog is there, and you rightly said, sir, sorry pursuing it without permission, but I would really request that if Niti can take up informal sector representatives across the sectors and hold a small workshop around, and then find a solution, and then really bring out how we do it. In plastic waste, we tried through the UNDP to bring in inclusivity of how they can be partnered across to give them the benefits which are created under the social ministry. So I think so there has to be a separate guidelines brought into how to create informal sector into the formal, rather than only leaving it to the EPR regime, which certainly is acting. And you have brought EPR in all the 11 sectors, and congratulations to you. I earlier said, I think so the need is really to have a dialogue and then come out with the solutions, what you all are saying. Thank you very much, please.
Yeah. So thanks for your suggestion. I understand the challenge which you are pointing out to. The challenge of reaching out to informal sector lies in their informality itself. There are no associations, there are no people to reach out to. So, but I mean, that has been a part of our engagement, definitely. Yeah. Sir.
Good morning to all the panelists and the speakers. I have a suggestion, in fact, a rather observation. I am Krishnaya, Chairman, Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board. Now with the e-vehicles occupying the space of automobile sector in a rapid way, the disposal or dispensation of the automotive vehicles, both petrol and diesel, is going to be rapid. Are we factoring this aspect into our policy of scrapping the old vehicles? Since the numbers are going to be too large to handle this kind of disposal of such vehicles, the infrastructure should be equipped to handle that kind of scrapping activity to be done in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll take this question for now, and then, yeah, you please go ahead if you'd like to.
Yeah, I think, sir, your point is very valid. But looking at the Delhi experience, where NGT order was to get rid of the 10-year-old diesel vehicles and 15-year-old petrol vehicles, around 2.5 lakh vehicles were deregistered, but none of them came to RVSF. All of them got vanished in the hinterlands of rural UP and rural Rajasthan. So I believe that because there is a worth in the existing vehicles, people have a tendency to move it to the hinterland, and mobility is still, sparsely available in hinterland. So therefore, we have to be mindful that these vehicles will tend to move towards the rural hinterland.
Yeah, so just to add to that, sir, we understand the growth of EVs and the automobile sector in general is happening. And the different part in a EV is the battery itself, the lithium-ion battery, which requires a different kind of treatment as compared to e-waste or the RVSF. So in the 5 sectors which I mentioned earlier, lithium-ion battery is one of the important work streams which we are working on currently. And as I shared with you in our discussion that before the end of this financial year, by March, we are going to come out with a framework to deal with that as well. If you look at the growth area, currently much of the lithium-ion batteries are coming from consumer electronics. But by 2035, we expect almost about 70 to 80% of our batteries in lithium-ion to be coming from the electric vehicles themselves. So it will become a very important chunk of what we need to do. And lithium-ion batteries with the challenges we have in terms of lack of most of the minerals, the rare earth metals for those manufacturing, and also the government's effort to come out with PLIs for ACC, the advanced chemistry cell batteries. I think all that will come together in another decade or so when we have a vibrant EV ecosystem, the old batteries going into our recycling units and also going further for manufacturing again through a recycled content being made mandatory in those manufacturing. So all that will establish, but currently it's a system which is just evolving. So a long-term vision is required in that. Thank you. So I think we are out of time now. I'd like you to conclude the session, please. Thank you. And after we conclude this, my request would be to all the participants from the state to kindly join us on the stage for a group photograph. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all the panelists for a great discussion. Now I would like to invite our Senior Vice President MRAI, Mr. Zain Nathani, to join us on stage to felicitate all the panelists. Please, Mr. P.K. Banerjee. Mr. Vijayan. I'll let you know. Mr. Karthik Nagpal. Mr. Jagdish Prasad. And Mr. Nitin Chatkara. That's it. Better did that, sir. It's all done. So now I would like to, Zain, I would request you to stay, and I would like all the other directors and all the government officials also to join us for a group photograph on the stage, on the dais, please. All the MRAI directors and the, for the panelists only, okay. Yeah.